Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry if I am being a bit quiet. Ezra is just asleep next to me and I don't want to wake him up, and I'm afraid I am going to. But today's video is going to be about my birth story with this little fella here right next to me. So he was born on the 14th of March 2020 at 7:36 p.m. So my labour was a total of 38 hours with him. So to start off with, so I started labouring on I had quite a long labour, early labour. So I had a lot of early labour symptoms for about 2 weeks up to the day I actually went into active labour with him. So it was the 12th of March night. I had quite a few strong contractions from about 6 p.m. at night till about just before we went to bed, and we went to bed and they just died off. I woke up on the 13th of March at about 5:30 a.m. and I could tell that, you know, he was on his way, he was coming, because the contractions were a lot more consistent, they were getting a bit stronger. So throughout the day I was having contractions pretty much consistently throughout the day, probably about every 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes depending. So that day, it was actually a pretty good day, surprisingly, and I surprised myself that day as well. So we hadn't gotten his car seat in the car yet, so I said to Matt, okay, we need to get his car seat in the car. It was probably about 10 a.m. at this stage, and we're like, okay, get the car seat in the car, getting the car seat in the car, cool. Car seat doesn't fit, so the strap that hooks over to the back of the seat was too short to fit across to hook, because the hook was right down the bottom. So we actually ended up having to go out. So I was having contractions, we went to Baby Bunting, got an extender, and then we went to Forest Hill, which is down the road over here from where we live, shopping centre. Went there, walked around the shops, had a look in Target, bought some clothes, even though we didn't know what we were having because we didn't find out the gender. And I bought a cute little like blue striped knitted jumpsuit for $2, it was on sale. And walked around there. Matt's parents were here as well. They were already at Forest Hill, so we met up with them and they came home with us. Came home, just relaxed throughout the day. We were doing a puzzle on the dining table out the front, doing the puzzle and everything like that. Contractions pretty consistent, about every 5 minutes consistently now. Just doing the puzzle, standing there. I was sitting, I was standing, moving, swaying, anything I could do to help with the pain. And then we had a dinner and everything like that. I went to bed at about 10 p.m. and they got stronger, like really strong. I couldn't sit still, I had to keep moving, I had to get up, move around, blah, blah, blah. By this stage, it was 11:30. I called my midwife saying, I'm pretty sure I need to come into hospital. I'm getting pretty strong contractions. Can't speak, sorry. Pretty strong contractions. And I would like to come in. And she goes, have you hopped in the shower yet? I was like, no, I haven't hopped in the shower yet. She's like, give it another hour to 2 hours, go and hop in the shower, let water run over your back and see how you go. So I was on my knees in the bed for a little bit after that. Matt got the shower ready, hopped in the shower, got in the shower, I was in there for about an hour, dried back off, came to bed, pretty still uncomfortable, in a lot of pain. I was in the bed facing that way on my knees, and it was about, after that I said, Matt, after about another half hour, I said, I can't do it anymore, I need to go in. They're getting too uncomfortable, too strong, and I want to go in. Called the midwife and let her know that we're going to start heading in. She was at home, so she had to get there anyways. So we took our time obviously getting there. Still, like, we had to get the car packed, all our bags, my pillows, all the stuff I wanted. Got all that ready, packed, drove my mother-in-law drove our car to the hospital, dropped us off. As we pulled into the emergency section where we were going, by this time it was like 1:30 a.m. on the 14th. Yeah, 14th of March. There was people in hazmat suits because of the, obviously, everything that's going on in the world. He was born in it, and I was just like, I ain't getting out of the car with them there. I remember that. Walk in, get to there, she comes down with a wheelchair. I hop in the wheelchair, she takes us up to the birthing suite. She has the birthing bath running, everything like that. We get everything organised. I hop back in the shower there to let water run over my back, everything like that. And then I get into the bed. I blacked out, so the pain got that bad that I eventually blacked out because I was just in my own zone. I just didn't realise what was going on around me. I was in and out of the bed, on my knees, on the side of the bed, just moving around. I then eventually hopped on the gas. I think by that time it was about 4 a.m. in the morning. I hopped on the gas. And I was on my knees with the gas. One stage, I do remember this, one stage I vomited. So I was like on my knees, like swaying and stuff like that with the gas, and I vomited. I just went like this, like that, and Matt was sitting right there. Luckily it just missed him. It only got a little bit on his sock, but he reminds me about that a lot. Yeah, so gas and everything like that. Then she offered me, my midwife asked me what I would like to do next. I was screaming. All I know is I was screaming in pain whenever a contraction would come. Not at the beginning, but at the peak of the contraction, because they were just so intense. Then she asked me what I wanted, if I wanted epidural or morphine or a bath. I did say morphine at the start, but then she said that it can affect the baby. So then I said no. I didn't want anything to affect him at that stage. I didn't know how far along I was dilated I didn't want to know how far along I was because I didn't want to have a number in my head. I just wanted to go with the flow and let it happen, because if you have that number in your head, that's all you're really focusing on. Where with me, I was trying to focus on the contractions coming and going and breathing the gas in and everything like that. So then after a little bit longer, I hopped in the bath. I hopped in the bath for probably about half an hour or something like this. It was about 8 a.m. at this stage. 8 a.m, hopped in the bath. I was in there for probably an hour to half an hour. I'm not 100% sure. And I was exhausted. I couldn't keep going. I had already been labouring for about 26 hours from now already. And I asked for an epidural. That was my last resort, was an epidural, but I was just so exhausted, in so much pain, I couldn't continue on. So I asked for an epidural. They came, epidural. I was so chill, relaxed after that. I napped. Matt brought me some yogurt. It was really yummy because I hadn't eaten everything I had eaten from dinner. I had brought up, so my stomach was empty. So I had yogurt. It was my lunch yogurt, because hospital food is disgusting, and who wants to eat that when you're in labour? Cool, everything like that. Now, because when you have an epidural, you can't get up and walk around. Like, I could still move my legs and everything, but you can't get up and walk around. So the midwife, this was my second midwife by now, because they have to switch, because they can only work, I think, 9 hours is their cutoff. So move from side to side. Every time that I would move from my back to my side, his heart rate would plummet, would drop really bad. We tried it a couple of times, every time it would drop. At one stage, I did it, and she's like, no, roll back over, baby doesn't like it, okay.
waited a couple of minutes, his heart rate didn't come back up. It sat about 42 beats. It was originally before that about 146 to 150 beats per minute or something. And she's like, okay, that's, we're just going to have to get a couple of people in here because baby's heart rate's not coming up. We're going to have to put a probe on the top of his head. Next minute, me and Matt were like, oh, cool, 3 people are probably going to come in. Like 10, no kidding, 10 people rush in the room. They all start doing stuff, and me and Matt are just like, what's going on here? Like, seriously, what is going on? We're like a bit freaked out. And they're like, it's okay, we're just all doing our own individual jobs. Baby is okay, we've got the probe on his head now. Everything's okay, his heart rate is back up. But you're going to have to start pushing soon. So I was like, okay, yep. So I tried, start pushing, but he was I think they call it OP or OB, or OP, or I don't know. So their face is meant to be, so basically his face was this way. When they're meant to rotate around, and their face is meant to be like down, I'm pretty sure. But his face was this way. So they were like, he's not rotating. I was like, if you keep pushing, because you have to get him over underneath that dip. Kept pushing. At this stage, it was about, was it 6 p.m. They come in and out, keep pushing. Kept pushing, and they're like, okay, we may need to go down to theatre for an emergency cesarean. And I was like, I don't want a cesarean. I was avoiding a cesarean the whole pregnancy. I do not want a cesarean. That's what I don't want, because my older sister, she had a cesarean with her first, third, and third, so all 3. She had to have cesareans, and I just remember so we get down there and everything like that, get all set up. I had to get an episiotomy, which is where they cut down there. So an episiotomy, and it was a forceps birth because he just wasn't getting past that dip. So it was about, I did 5 minutes in the theatre. It was probably about 2 or 3 pushes with the forceps, and he was out. I didn't see him when he first came out because I was too focusing on pushing and everything like that. I didn't even know what sex it was or anything like that. And they're like, did you see what sex it was? Like, because they were all asking if we knew, and I was like, no, we don't know. And they held him up, and I'm like, it's a boy! It's a boy! So the whole time through my pregnancy, I was 100% certain we were having a boy, but we didn't know. But the whole time I was saying, oh, it's a boy, it's a boy, it's a boy. And it was a boy. Like, just my intuition, I knew. I was like so excited. But the reason why his heart rate was dropping, his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck twice. So it was wrapped around his neck, so every time I moved to my side, his heart rate would plummet because it would tighten. So very luckily that he came out when he did, and he was breathing and everything like that was fine. So that was all, like, I was over the moon that he was here, happy and everything like that. Oh, it was the best feeling in the world. Started crying, everything. I didn't hold him straight away because when they give you the epidural when you're in theatre, you shake because your body doesn't know if you're cold or hot. So like you get shakes. So I was really shaking like this. So I didn't want to hold him because of, like, you know, I was shaking and everything like that. So Matt held him, and we got a couple of photos. I'll pop them up on the screen for you guys now. We got a couple of photos from in the theatre room, and then when he was on my chest. It was just the best feeling ever. It was, oh, you can't remake those moments ever. You just can't. Hey, Baba. Go to sleep. You're okay. Did Mummy wake you up? So the story behind his name is we really like the name Ezra. Ezra is a biblical name, and it means helper. So it's like his mummy's little helper. That's what he's going to be because he's our firstborn. His middle name is Neil, which is Matt's father's name. And then obviously his last name, which is our last name. I'm not going to say our last names just for privacy reasons, just to keep some bits private around here, but he's our little miracle rainbow baby because before him I did have a miscarriage the year before. So he's our long-awaited, beautiful little gift that we got from God, didn't we? Hey? Yeah. So thank you so much for watching my birth story, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry if it is a little long. Thank you so much. If you'd like to see a bit more insight into our lives and to follow us, just head over to our Instagram page, the Me Fam on Instagram. And please don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell as well, so you're notified whenever I am uploading my videos. Thank you. Bye.